The power of one. The power of two. The power of Disney.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Welcome to Pardon the Intermission, a podcast that takes a look at movies, TV, and all things entertainment, from the past, the present, and the future. Remember to subscribe and like the podcast, and give a review. This helps out the podcast and is greatly appreciated. Now on to the show. Yes, hey everyone, welcome to Pardon the Intermission. I'm Eric.
And I'm Jason.
We are glad you're all here listening to the show today.
Absolutely. Glad to be back with you guys. We've missed out here on the last couple of shows or so, but again, glad to be back behind the mics and glad to be bringing you another edition of Pardon the Intermission.
And as always, check out our social media. We are on Twix at PTI_podcast.
And of course, you can find us on Facebook Meta at Pardon the Intermission.
And then we're also doing YouTube and Rumble.
Yeah.
At just check out Pardon the Intermission. Type it in the search bar.
All you gotta
coming
do.
up. Yeah, we're doing more content there. We're doing trailer reviews, movie reviews,
Yep, whole nine
and
yards.
and some good stuff over there. So please check it out.
Yep.
Okay, here's the big deal. Everybody's talking about it. This episode, I mean, listen, we have to do it because everybody's talking about it.
We do, and we've got to do it while it's still fresh and hot on the burner.
And we got to do it while
man.
it's fresh.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Acolyte.
Just hit the button right now, please.
Ready?
Go for it.
Which one is it? This one?
It's that one.
That's the one.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so
Thank you.
here's the deal. I asked you before the show, Jason. I said, did you watch it? And then you gave me a thumbs down, which at first I thought, okay, wait a minute. Does that mean you hadn't got to see it yet? Or are you talking about the show? And
my answer was I had seen the first episode, and the thumbs down was in reference to the fact that that is how disappointed I was, at least with the first episode. Now, I'm going to give myself a little bit of grace here, folks, because I haven't seen the other two episodes that have subsequently dropped. But after the first one, I got to tell you, on an optimism scale, Eric, of 1 to 10, 1 being the least, 10 being the most excited, it's about a -5 for me right now.
wow.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, my gosh. Okay.
I was so traumatized by the first episode that I literally threw my remote across the room.
No way, really?
Seriously.
And don't you have a lightsaber remote?
No, not anymore. I don't. I have a Darth Vader replica lightsaber that lights up and hums around and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was literally so disappointed with this episode that I tossed my remote and I said, bleep this.
Wow.
And I refused to watch the second episode until I kind of calmed down, collect myself.
Okay.
And then when my emotions have subsided, then I'll go back into watching the second episode. Maybe when I get home tonight after I'm firing off some emails to some colleagues I know. But
Just to piss yourself off some more?
Just to tick myself off some more. Yes.
Just when you want to sit back and relax and tick myself off some more, I'm going to watch the second episode.
Right. And so, I mean, and this, what frustrates me the most is that, okay,
Well, let me tell you this before you get into it.
Yeah, please
Let me tell you this.
Go.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Go ahead.
I've seen all three so far. Episode 1, 2, and 3.
Right, okay.
And it just gets worse, my friend.
Oh, crap. Okay.
And it gets a lot worse.
Oh, Lord.
And we'll get into it.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Okay. But, so to give a recap real
Yes.
quick, right? The Acolyte, it's a story. I guess it takes place, is it 100 years before?
It takes place 100 years before the fall of the Old Republic.
Okay, before the fall of the Old Republic.
So this is before episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Now I'm going to say this right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's my gripe always. And it's my gripe with Lucasfilms. They always pull out these. I'm sorry. You have to remind me. I think I asked you this previously.
Yes.
But is this a story that is actually in canon, or is this something they're making up, or are they taking pieces of canon to make the story up?
The latter, what you just said. They're taking pieces of Star Wars canon and just making something up.
Okay.
So, yeah, this story, the premise of it, again, takes place 100 years before the fall of the Republic. And so it takes place during an age where the Jedi were still very prominent, still very prevalent. They were still the primary keepers of peace throughout the galaxy. So we haven't even got to the part yet where at this point, Senator Palpatine doesn't exist. Qui-Gon Jinn doesn't exist. I'm assuming Yoda does, because Yoda is over 900 years old when he meets his demise in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So, or when he dies in Return of the Jedi. So I would imagine at some point they might try and sneak Yoda into this here somehow. But you're right, Eric. We're dealing with a whole new...
and you're saying the Sith don't exist.
Well,
or we don't know.
we're still trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Based on the teaser I saw at the end of the first episode, we may be seeing the Sith here not in the not too distant future.
Okay.
So yeah, they're plucking pieces from canon and they're just making stuff up as they go along.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to kind of recap real quick, essentially the story is about these two twins.
Yes.
I mean, which they gave it away. We did a podcast where we talked about that they had maybe given the plot away, which I thought the big plot secret was going to be the fact that there are two twins. But
Yeah,
no,
sure.
in the first episode, they just give it away. Essentially.
Clear as day.
Yeah,
Yes.
so there's two twins.
Yes.
And one's good, one is bad, one's being framed at this
Yes.
point. And that's basically episode 1. Okay, get into what you were going to tell me earlier about. I mean, you were charged up, man. I saw it was like, I saw the fury in your eyes. You were ready to go.
Yes. This is one of the things that infuriated me the most about the first episode is that, okay, they went to great lengths to establish Carrie-Anne Moss as one of the main characters in the teasers leading up to the debut of the series. And yet, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, you're honestly not going to be missing much if I spoil it.
No, and let me just put this out there. This is going to be a spoiler review of
big
the
time.
show. So
Yes.
I'm sorry, folks. If it's not, just go watch the show real quick if you dare.
Right.
Or maybe don't, and we'll just tell you how it goes. But we're
Exactly.
spoiling it, so go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we be spoiling it. Okay, so what I'm getting at here is this. Carrie-Anne Moss's character, who is a Jedi Master, we know that one of the twins goes in there to...
This is the very beginning opening scene of the
scene.
episode.
Yes. We know that she goes in there to...
She goes into a bar.
to kill Carrie-Anne Moss.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we don't know what... She goes in there at first. We don't know why. She says,
Exactly.
"Where's your Jedi?"
Exactly, yep.
And so she's looking for a Jedi. So
Yes.
it's a typical setup, right? She's looking for this Jedi, this mysterious character that has a COVID mask on for some reason in the
Right,
galaxy.
exactly, right?
Anyway, she's got this mask on. She's going in there. We obviously know she's not up to any good.
Yes.
She goes in and she's, "Where's your Jedi?" She finds her, and this is the brilliant writing of what's her name, Leslie Headland, right? Is that
I
her
think
name?
it's Leslie Headland, yes.
Yeah. What is this person, which we can only assume is an assassin, or we'll call her assassin twin. What does she do when she gets up there? Hit me with all your strength.
all your strength,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. You know, basically, fight me with all your strength or whatever. I'm
Yes.
like, what? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever walked up to anybody and said, "Hit me with all your strength"? You know what I mean? Would you do that? I don't know.
I do it every day. Don't you? Don't you? I do it every day. No, I'm kidding. I don't.
So this is the thing. You're going up there.
Yes,
And you're
yes.
going to fight this Jedi. But you're trying. I don't know if they're trying to make her seem like she's kind of a stand-up bad person because she's saying, she's coming at her directly. Wouldn't you kind of do it kind of sneaky?
Yeah, I would think you would.
Especially with a Jedi. It's a master Jedi. This Trinity, we're going to call her Trinity,
Yeah.
is supposed to be, Carrie-Anne Moss, supposed to be a master Jedi.
Yep.
Okay, so tell us. So she goes in there and says, "Yeah, hit me with all your strength." This is assassin twin. Okay.
Hit me with all your strength. And then initially, Carrie-Anne Moss says, "I'm not going to fight you. Jedi don't fight to kill people." And of course, I'm paraphrasing here what she's saying.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day here, at the end of the scene, close to it there, they end up fighting. And so
but let's do of course, Mary Sue. Now, I can't call her Mary Sue because maybe she had trained, right?
Yeah.
But let's just say this: she doesn't just fight the Jedi. The Jedi Trinity is surrounded by a table of people.
And
They're like, and they start laughing at it. Then when they see she's serious,
Yes.
I mean, they all attack her. And,
They do.
And Trinity doesn't. They're all attacking her. And of course, she's flying all over the bar, kicking the crap out of all these big guys.
Yes,
the
exactly.
typical thing, right? The little girl is kicking the crap out of all these big guys.
Exactly. And so ultimately, at the end of the fight scene there, again, Carrie-Anne Moss eventually starts fighting her. At the end of the fight scene, there was that one moment where you see the bartender there, if I remember correctly, goes to pick up a weapon to shoot it at the young girl there. And then...
I think it was somebody else. I don't think it was a bartender.
You're
was
right.
it?
It was somebody else.
But they pull out a blaster. So they decide they're going to fight this person, and she's flipping all. They don't pull out blasters until the very end. This one guy, they're out in the middle of this outpost, and it seems like it's kind of maybe a little shady place. We don't
Yes.
know. But, this guy's the only one with the blaster,
Yep.
and he finally pulls it out at the end, right?
Pulls it out the end, and then the young girl takes one of her daggers and throws it at him.
And that's the thing. She has daggers. She doesn't have any other weapons. She got knives.
Knives. And then Carrie-Anne Moss.
Ginsu knives.
Yes, Ginsu knives. And then Carrie-Anne Moss uses the Force to stop the dagger. Well, in the process of doing that...
You're talking about what? Oh, to save the bar guy.
To save the bar guy,
Okay,
yes.
so you're jumping. So what happens? The guy hit the blaster, right?
Yes.
And then she's still fighting all these people.
Yes.
Okay. So then Carrie-Anne Moss, at some point, this Jedi or this assassin twin has defeated all the people in the bar.
Yes.
She starts fighting Trinity now.
Yes.
And this is the goofiest freaking fighting I've ever seen in my life. Okay, are you getting there? Because this to me, this is the goofiest freaking fighting I've ever seen. It's basically Matrix meets, what would you call it?
I would say it's the Matrix meets Enter the Dragon.
I would say Matrix meets dropped frame fighting. It's like,
or Rush Hour.
There you go.
Rush
I mean,
Hour,
it is. So they're doing some kind of crazy.
It's martial arts choreography.
It's martial arts. Now, supposedly, I'm not sure if Filoni. I heard a rumor that Filoni coined it Force Fu. But I don't know if that's true or if that came from somebody else. But basically, it's Kung Fu, but it's the Force. So Carrie-Anne is doing... So we have this crazy... All of a sudden, we have this crazy, like, Matrix style where they're just... It's almost like a bullfight. Toro. It's like, you know, all of a sudden she's...
A lot of pushing and shoving.
A lot of pushing, a lot of the Force stuff, you know, and then a lot of just quick turns.
Yes.
And then they do the slow motion quick turn, right? She's trying... The assassin's... This is the weird thing. Assassin's trying to go for the lightsaber on Trinity's belt.
Yes.
And then Trinity does the slow motion quick turn, and then she misses it, right?
Yep.
So basically, Trinity's got her. She's got her completely. So she pulls out her weapon.
Yeah.
And then this person obviously knows something because she goes, Jedi doesn't pull out a weapon unless they're ready to kill.
That's right, yeah.
And at the same time, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's kill the person. Let's get this over with, right? Let's get this done.
Exactly.
And then what does Trinity do?
And what does Trinity do?
Puts the weapon away. Puts her
away.
lightsaber back away and says...
And
then you're talking. Then they're getting to the very point.
Yes.
She's throwing the knives. She's cutting the blades, the steel blades up. You know, Trinity. She
Yep.
puts her lightsaber away.
Yep.
Trinity's basically got her. This chick knows.
Yeah.
She's force pushed her back. She knows that she's in trouble.
Yes.
The bar guy makes noise.
Yes.
That's what it was. And then you see it in her eyes. Oh, I've got an idea.
Yep.
Go ahead. She's throwing,
and then all of a sudden...
throwing the knife at the bar guy.
And then all of a sudden, as Trinity uses the Force to stop the knife from hitting the bar guy, Trinity herself gets stabbed by the young girl.
Yeah.
Eric, you have got to be kidding me. Jedi Knights are not killed by small Ginsu knives that I use to chop up my produce with when I'm making stir fry.
How did she not know? In canon,
Exactly.
could she not sense something else was happening here?
Exactly.
So they're trying to make Trinity have all her attention to this bar guy to save his life, and then you just hear a thud, and then it looks down, and there's a blade.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you the most contradictory, stupid thing in episode 1, though, is... I'm going to jump to the end of the episode. We'll talk more about the episode, but I'm going to jump to the end.
That's fine.
At the end of the episode, this dark figure who supposedly seems like she's that dark. I'm going to say, okay, here's the deal. It's a dark figure that has a man's voice. I think it's a woman.
Okay.
But it's a dark figure that's training the assassin. And what is the assassin, or what does this dark figure say? The Jedi cannot be killed by steel. I'm like, we just saw.
You just saw it.
A master Jedi killed by steel. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
This episode's not. So that happened at the end. But anyway, okay. So Trinity Jedi gets killed. Right now they got to go. Now they got to find out who's did it. Right, the Jedi.
Yes.
They've got these Jedi set up. I don't know if this is in canon, but they're basically like cops. Right? They're coming in. Oh, excuse me, ma'am. We got some questions and we got this. These guys are like cops. They're not acting like Jedi to me. They're acting like police. Are they the police? I mean, in theory, they're maybe the protectors of law or everything, but they're still Jedi.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So, yeah.
So all of a sudden they find the twin.
It's okay.
They find the other twin, this other girl.
Yeah.
Right? The good twin.
The good one, yeah.
They find her. How did they find her?
she's on some kind of like a garbage scow or a maintenance ship.
Yeah.
And she's out there fixing a communications array or something like that.
She's not a mechanic. She's a mechanic.
A mechanic. And so they find her and they come to arrest her because obviously they think that she's the one who killed Trinity there. Trinity Moss.
How do they know? They don't. That's what I mean. This is how bad the writing of the show is.
Yes.
They don't tie anything together. It's just
it's discombobulated.
Okay,
all over the place.
You and I talked a few podcasts ago about a clip on YouTube that had the creators of South Park.
Yeah.
Remember that talked about writing a story.
Yeah, Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Exactly. And they said that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Matt Stone and is it Trey Parker, right? Yeah.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone did do South Park?
Yeah.
Okay, for some reason I thought they didn't.
It's like one of those. I know it's like one of those things you think and you're like, oh wait a minute, that's wrong. It's like, wait, is that right?
Brain fart.
Yeah, I know, man. I know what you're talking about. Well, it's because you watched that episode 1.
It is.
Okay.
Thank you.
But anyway, they talked about it, and what the point I'm getting to is this: they said that good writing is that when you're writing a story and you're writing events, it's like this happens because of this, and then because of this happens, and because it's always there's a reactionary thing, and it's not just you're writing. Hey, it'd be cool if we had this, and then this, and then this. And that's what this story feels like.
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't tell you how they figured out that this girl who is out in the middle of, we don't even know.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. They don't give you space. They don't give you space and time in this episode.
Yeah.
It's just like everything. It's like everything happens in one neighborhood, in one planet, because they don't. I mean, are they galaxies away from each other? Yeah. The only thing they try to do is that the girl wakes up and her buddy comes and says, hey, why didn't you hang out with us last night? And she's like, oh, I was tired. I'm by myself, right? So they're trying to lead you oh, it could be her.
Yes,
right. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
So anyway, they don't, but the Jedi get there. The guy knows her. He trained with her, obviously, because it comes out that she was at the Jedi Temple, or she was training as a Jedi at one point.
Yeah.
Anyway, he knows her, and they don't tell you how they know that it's her.
Yeah.
Here's the freaking funny thing. Like I said, we don't know space and time here. Did all this thing happen just on this planet and around this planet, right? Because what do? They bring the barkeep guy in there, right? That the assassin did not kill.
Yeah.
And they can't just take a picture and show the guy. They got to fly him from who knows where. The guy's got a business on this planet. You're telling me he just go up and he's got, they even showed he had a little kid there. I mean, the guy's just going to leave his kid and leave his business. And then he comes there and, oh, that's her. That's the one.
Yep.
What is going? This is like Scooby-Doo.
What you talking about, Shaggy? I don't know, Shaggy.
I don't get it. Okay.
I don't get it either.
Okay, so this is not even... Okay, so they do that.
Yeah.
And go ahead. You want?
They do that, and then if I remember correctly, we fast forward then to we get to the end there, and then if I'm forgetting any parts here, go ahead. And
I'll back you up a little bit. Yeah.
So they find her, and then if I remember correctly, she is set free, or she is.
Well, what happens is that they basically tell her, here's the deal: she killed a Master Jedi.
Yes.
Okay, she's killed a Master Jedi. Supposedly, she's a suspect.
Yes.
Right.
A suspect. Yes.
So then they say, we're going to put you on this ship, a prisoner ship, and take you to. Was it Coruscant, right?
That's right. And then the prison ship gets hijacked.
And then the prisoner,
And then they bust her out.
The Jedi that were there to apprehend her, right?
Yep.
First off, they send this one Jedi, and I think his Padawan. It's not even like, the like Master Jedis that they're sending, They
don't even look like
They just
Jedi.
send a Jedi. That was just a knight. What do you say? Like 2 or 3 years ago, he was promoted to knight.
He was promoted to knight 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, so it's basically a new knight with a Padawan, and then they're like, "Let's just put you on the ship, and with these other guys, we have no idea, and then we'll just take off and go back to the planet ourselves." Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Plot holes all over the place.
And then
and then what happens? They get on the ship, and what happens?
They get on the ship. The ship gets hijacked. There's a big prison break. There's mass rioting breaking out.
They have one guard. They have one robot guy.
Just one robot guy.
And a couple of robot seat pilots.
And the robot seat pilots aren't flying the ship when it gets hijacked. It's like you see them, they're flying the ship, and then there's one scene where it shows them kind of like Transformers. They kind of compact and turn into regular seats.
So they've got these prisoners on the ship. They got one guy with this crazy tongue that rips the head of this robot, right? This prison guard robot
Prison
guy.
guard robot, yep.
And then they have this other guy.
Yep.
I mean, plot devices here. And then they have the other guy that has this some kind of remote thing on his head, and he just can magically all of a sudden control these robot pilots, and he just burp, 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 and they just go back down.
I know.
And here's the crazy thing, Jason.
Yeah.
Okay, at that point, and they're like, hey, and then they open up the cages, these guys, because they tell this girl, hey, we're gonna bust out. Are you with us or not?
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, I can't. Well, here's the crazy thing. What do? Do they hijack the ship and take it? No, they're like, oh, we just taken over the ship. Let's jump in the escape pod. See ya.
Yep.
And they're gone, right?
They're gone.
So
Yep.
she's on this ship by herself. She tries to help this mass killer that has some crazy parasite on his head, on his face.
Yeah, kind of
Remember?
like an alien face.
So he was
hugger.
like sedated.
Yeah.
She helps him and gets it off because she wants
Yep.
somebody to help her fly the ship.
Yeah.
And he just does the same thing. Oh, thank you. I'm out of here. Boom.
Yep.
And he takes
Bye-bye.
the last escape pod.
Yep.
So she's on this ship. What does she do? She basically just gets in a seat, doesn't know how to fly the thing. It's
Right.
it's tumbling down to the atmosphere now to the planet.
Right.
She's in this seat, and it's all of a sudden it's duck and cover.
Yeah.
This thing, it tears up. It's all over, it goes all over the place. Big crash landing. And not a scratch on her. She wakes up and it's like, oh, I'm perfectly fine. Doesn't hurt her wrist. Doesn't hurt her leg. Doesn't get a scratch. No bleeding. No bleeding. She's just fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then anyway, yeah.
Okay, so then they go back to the planet. You want to just keep going?
Just keep going.
Okay.
All right, just go.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up real quick, folks.
Yeah.
So they go. So basically, the Jedi that were supposed to apprehend this person go all the way back to the planet by themselves. Say,
Yeah.
oh, we made a mistake. She's escaped.
Yes.
Then they have to go all the way back to where this thing crash landed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
To get her. Well, then all of a sudden we have our big Harrison Ford. What was the name of that? One-armed man, the fugitive moment, where she's on a cliff and she's going to basically fall or jump off this cliff, right?
Yes.
Just like they did in The Fugitive, the movie The Fugitive.
Yeah.
And her master Jedi now has shown up. The one that was training her, which is Saul,
Yes.
which is Squid Game guy.
Yeah, and so she jumps off the cliff, but then he uses the Force to prevent her from hitting the ground.
Yes.
If I remember correct.
Yes.
And then after that, let's see if I remember correctly there. He has her suspended in the air using the Force. He brings her back up. And then what ensues after that again?
Well, and then basically he all of a sudden is like, you were the one that killed, that was
go.
identified
Thank
to
you.
kill it. And then she
Yeah.
goes, no, it wasn't me. It was my sister, because
Yeah.
she's had to think about this. The thing we did skip is that she saw the fire. Originally, she saw the fire in the ship she was fixing.
That's right,
And she
yeah.
has this vision of her sister. And all of a sudden she says, oh, it's my sister. And this guy all of a sudden she hasn't seen for years
Yeah.
that was training her says, I believe you. It's like, wait, what? What?
That's all it took?
What?
Wow. That's
Yeah.
all it took. Wow.
Okay.
If the rest of the world could be like that.
Okay,
Wow.
this is just episode 1, folks. Okay,
We're getting
okay,
warm.
we're gonna get through this real quick now.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, let's see, where are we at? At this point, they're like, we have to track down your sister, and somehow they know. Oh, here's the other thing. So the sister goes in to try to kill. So we know that there's some reason there's certain people that the Jedi, Master Jedis, that she's seeking out to kill.
Yeah.
She goes to this Jedi temple on another planet. Like I said, we don't even know where these freaking planets are. We don't know the distance,
Yeah.
what the heck's going on. Anyway, she's going to this other planet. She goes to this Jedi temple. She sees this guy hovering. Mm-hmm. Master Jedi Torben, right? Mm-hmm. He's just hovering there. She takes out her blades. She starts throwing it at him and just bouncing off him. He has a force field. The guy's hovering in midair,
Yep.
and he's like in this whole comatose state. And blades are bouncing off. She's
Yep.
jumping off the wall. She's trying to punch him. It is so freaking comical, this thing, right? He's got this force field around him.
Yep.
Right? And they can't get through. Mm-hmm. So somehow these Jedi know that, okay, might be here on this planet. They go to try to track the assassin twin down over there.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. By the time they get there, the assassin twin decides, she gets this very great idea. Well, I'll just use poison. I can't remember how. It doesn't really even matter at this point. I'll use poison on him. She goes to the apothecary where supposedly this guy, one of her friends, is over there at this apothecary place, and he mixes up this poison, gives it to her. She goes back. All of a sudden, this Master Torben guy's like, I've been waiting for you. And he drinks a poison and he dies. Right? I was like, what is going on? Okay. And then just in time, this is what happens. Just in time. This is the great writing of this episode. Just in time, right when she does that and she escapes, her other sister comes in, the good one.
Yeah.
And the Jedi who went into this temple, right? Now let's just say this. We've had a master here, let's recap real quick. We've had a master Jedi dead. Okay?
Yep.
Everybody should be on high alert.
Yes.
But supposedly at this temple they didn't get the word.
Yeah.
And they even had indications that somebody had broke in previous time. But they didn't even heighten security. They left Master Torben there. And then when she came back with the poison, he drank it and he's dead.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So then Assassin Sister goes, good twin comes in, and she's like, all of a sudden she's caught, dun dun dun, holding like Master Torben, holding everything, right? Holding the poison, Master Torben's dead, right? She's caught, right? Yeah. And they're like, oh, we caught you, you're here. And then all of a sudden the other guy that originally let her go, the young Jedi Knight, we'll call him Sideshow Bob Jedi because of his hair.
Sideshow Bob.
Right?
Yes.
And he's like, oh, no, I've been tracking her the whole time. She just got here, right? I'm like, wait, what? It's like, well, this is the craziest writing I've seen in my life. Okay.
Yeah. It seems to me like it seems to me like this was one of those episodes that was literally written on cocktail napkins, like at 2 a.m. in the morning. And they were on a 4-hour deadline. I mean, that is how.
And maybe a 3-day bender.
And maybe a 3-day bender, at least, with ecstasy built in there. Because it seems to me this episode was so poorly written, so poorly conceived. The character development so poorly conceived. Why do you have Carrie-Anne Moss's character dying within the first 5 minutes after you go to painstaking efforts to prove that she's going to be one of the main characters?
I'll tell you why.
In the series.
I'll tell you why.
Okay, go ahead.
Take a guess. Do you want to know why? She's in the series. Think about it. She's in the series. In what capacity?
Flashback scenes?
Exactly.
Shit. Okay. Oh, sorry. Shoot. Okay. Sorry, folks. So yes, back on my original train of thought. So poorly written, so poorly conceived, so poorly thought out, terrible character development that shows no connections, no feasible connections to each of the characters there. It doesn't pull you in and interest you the way that Andor did. It doesn't pull you in and interest you the way that other good television series do in the first couple of episodes there. Yeah, Eric, this is just completely a travesty, an abomination. This is something, and if I recall, the Acolyte initially was shelved because they were conceiving this and thinking about it during right before the COVID-19 pandemic hit. And then when the pandemic hit, boom, production shut down. We all know what happened after that. And then it got resuscitated after the pandemic when everyone was sent back to work. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. You guys had all this time to figure this out, and this is the best you've come up with? Seriously.
Yeah.
That's how poorly conceived, written, and thought out that this first episode was. And I haven't watched the second and the third one yet, but from what I'm hearing, I'm not missing much. So, Eric, if this is going to be the track of Acolyte here, I'm going to be absurdly shocked if it gets greenlighted for a second episode or for a second season. And if it gets greenlighted for a second season, I am boycotting Lucasfilm because this does not deserve to be in Star Wars canon. It does not deserve to be in Star Wars lore. It does not even deserve to be in Barney lore. Hey, kids, I'm Barney. Well, this is so terrible. I'm done.
No. I'm gonna get. We're gonna do a quick. I'll do a quick recap.
That's fine.
A quick recap of episode 2 and 3 because I know you haven't watched them.
That's fine. And you won't be spoiling.
But you're right.
For me.
You're right. I mean, the creatives. Okay, this is written by Leslie Headland, right? So this is written, and I think she produced it, and they have different directors, but director at this point doesn't matter. I mean, this is the writing.
Yes.
The thing is that it's all about. What can I say? It's all about checking certain boxes with Disney, and that's what it's about anymore. Because the creative process is completely gone. The talent and the creatives have gone. They have left the building, probably because they didn't check those certain boxes.
We have the inmates running the asylum now.
Well, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Because the writing on this thing is atrocious. Atrocious.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like they have exchanges like the sisters. In episode 2, they have exchanges where, of course, there are 2 younger girls playing. They're actual twins, but they don't look alike. This is the funny thing. They're like these two twins look alike, right? The older twins.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, right? It's the same actress playing both parts.
Yes.
In the second episode, you see a flashback scene, and the third episode, you see a flashback scene. And they're younger. This is the younger girls. It was like 16 years earlier. Mm-hmm. So they're pretty young. They're probably about 10. And they're actual twins playing the part. The problem is the twins don't actually look like each other.
Maybe they're fraternal twins.
So over 16 years, magically, without these girls because they've been separated. They haven't seen each other. This is the whole story.
Yeah.
They magically end up looking more and more like each other with the exact same hairstyle, too, by the way, after 16 years. This is what, I mean, this is the nonsense. But what I'm saying is the exchanges are like, you did this. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. I mean, the writing is atrocious on this. Terrible, terrible.
Yeah, it's porous on a level of which I had never seen before in any Star Wars show, and that even goes for some of the stinkers that we've already reviewed in the past. I'm really, Eric, I'm just at a loss.
Okay, I'm going to get you at another loss. I'm going to skip kind of the episode 2 stuff, but I'm going to get to the episode 3. So episode 3, right? This one everybody says is saying Star Wars is dead. It's completely dead after this. Okay. So basically episode 3 is a big flashback. You're seeing the girls grow up. Essentially what happens in that is that we find out that the girls were created from 2 lesbian witches. That they created life. And you find out that one carried him, which is a cast member that looked like basically Darth Maul. She has that Darth Maul look with the horns.
Okay, as a Zabrak, yeah.
And then the other one is kind of like the mother, and it's a coven of witches, by the way. So it's a mother of the coven, and she's the one that claims she created him. The other one claims that she carried him. And they're at this point because they're fighting about.
Okay. So now they're starting to tie in more to traditional Star Wars canon, because if you recall in the prequels, in Episode 1, Liam Neeson's character Qui-Gon Jinn talks about metachlorians and how metachlorians can be used to influence the Force and influence life, and how we know obviously that Anakin didn't have a father, that he had a mother only, and that he was probably conceived by the Force. So now here's where it sounds like they're starting to try and tie into original canon here.
But the question is, are they trying to wipe out original canon? Because remember, Anakin was supposed to be the chosen one.
Yes.
He was supposed to be special. Yes. Now all of a sudden they're saying, well, there's other people that can do this, so it's not as special.
Now, question for you. In the third episode here.
Because it's Palpatine that was supposed to have created him, right?
Yes, correct, yes. So question for you in Episode 3 then. Was the planet Dathomir featured in this episode by any chance? Because you mentioned the witches. Remember. You mentioned the witches and the female that looked like Darth Maul in Episode 1. I bring that up.
No, that's not the planet, I don't think.
Okay. I bring that up because Darth Maul was an inhabitant of the planet called Dathomir. Yeah. And then even in the Clone Wars and Rebels and Star Wars Rebels, the witches, and who were also in the most recent live-action series that we deadpanned, not the Bad Batch, but the one with I just forgot the name of it altogether.
Which one?
The one with what's his name? Ray. Ray who just passed away.
There they are. See, this is her right here.
Okay.
So we're looking at right now. We're just looking, folks. I'm showing Jason a picture of one of the mothers. This is the one that carried him.
Okay, got it.
And then this is the one, what's her name? Jodie Taylor-Smith plays the mother of the... She's kind of the mother of the comet.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So essentially what... so no, that planet is not... What this is what basically this is, they say in this episode that we have hidden... Basically, these are a coven that say... that other people in the galaxy don't like our kind, so we have to go away and hide. And so they're magically, this is the craziest thing, so magically they're in this base. I don't even know how this base got created, right? They're in some base on some planet that's supposed to be uninhabited out in the middle of nowhere, right? So they're supposed to be hiding.
Okay.
So to answer your question, I think you were getting to, is it Darth Maul? Is that kind of the beginnings of...
Well, just that, trying to establish a connection here, because the woman there is the same species as Darth Maul, whose character is from the planet called Dathomir. And he was...
But do they have witches there, and do they have magic?
They do, yes. And those witches were featured in Clone Wars, and then the most recent Star Wars live-action series before this one, the one with Ray Stevenson, who recently passed away.
Yes.
Balin Kor, I believe, was the character's name.
Our favorite, Ahsoka.
Yeah, Ahsoka. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of.
You want to hear what we thought of Ahsoka?
Yes.
Or at least what I thought. I know you liked it more. Yeah.
And so the planet Dathomir with those witches was featured in Ahsoka. And so that's why I was trying to see if they were going to establish a connection that way, but it sounds like they're not, so blah.
Well, what they may be doing is they may be establishing with this character. Now, this may be, here, I'm going to tell you right now, major spoiler alert.
Okay.
Who is this character? Let me see if they show, what is her name? Doggone it, I can't. Anyway, the one that looks like Darth Maul, I have a feeling because in the end of episode 3, okay, so here's what happens. Let me just tell you what happens real quick.
Yeah. Okay,
episode 3, the girls are. This is the craziest thing, Jason. Listen to this, okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See if you can make sense of this. The girls, okay, the two girls are basically. You can kind of see that in the beginning they're like there's an animal. One of them's trying to use like a little butterfly flying around, not an animal, but a little butterfly, little insect.
Yeah, sure.
And on this planet, and they have the two twins, but one of them is trying to kind of like use the force, and you know, and I don't know what she's doing with it. Then the other one comes along and is like trying to squish it, you know, and she's like stop. And she's actually, their actual names are Osha and May. So she's telling May to stop. May's the bad one, right? So okay. So here's the deal. So they're already kind of setting up. One's kind of more bad than the other. Well, here's the deal. So the mother of this, which I think was Anisha, I can't remember her name. Anyway, the mother witch. We'll call her Mother Witch. Witch 1. Okay. She's basically, these girls are supposed to go through the ceremony where they become part of the witch coven. Okay. So they're being raised, but they're not really there. Yeah. So she's trying. This is the funny thing. Listen to this. She's trying to tell them about the Force, and she's saying the Force is a thread. So they're saying the Force is a thread, and it can't be used. It can't be wielded. Mm-hmm. It's a thread through everything. Then she turns around, and for some reason she's teaching how to use the Force. This Mother Witch, and she's saying. She goes, the power of, this is the crazy thing. She's standing there and another girl is standing on the other side. She goes, the power of one. And she uses her hands and pushes. And the girl's like, ah! And woof, and she flies back, right? Then the Mother Witch goes, and she's teaching the girls. I don't know what she's teaching them, but she goes, the power of two. And I'm thinking, the power of two. She's going to teach them that, two are stronger than one, right? Because they're twins. Together, they're stronger. Mm-hmm. Well, then these two witches come up and they're like trying to use the Force, and the mother still goes ooh, and she pushes both of them. So she shows them it doesn't matter if there's a power of two, she still kicked their butts with the Force after she just told them the Force is a thread and you can't wield it. It runs through everything. It like it's kind of its own deal, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't even know if they know what the heck the Force is.
It sounds like they don't.
At this point.
Right.
So the mother says, listen, you're going to be witches. Basically, this is what happened. The mother says, listen, you're going to be witches. Mm-hmm. Osha, the good one, says, no, I don't really want to be a witch. And then the other one says, well, no, you have to be a witch. No, I don't want to be a witch. So then she tells her, well, we should have our own choice, but no, you're going to be a witch. Essentially, she's forcing her to be a witch, right? Yeah. But this is supposed to be good. This is supposed to be showing us that this woman, this leader of the coven, is good. They're just good people, but yet they're forcing their one daughter to be something she doesn't want to be. Yeah. The Jedi show up on this planet, right? And they say, oh, we didn't know nobody lived here. Whether they did or not, I don't know. They're trying to make the Jedi, in my opinion, to look like the bad guys. Mm-hmm. But the Jedi come in and they say, are you witches? Oh, no, or you don't have life here. Well, guess what? Then the little girl comes out. Oh, guess what? Now they know that they are showing, because I guess the Jedi at this point is saying you're not supposed to be teaching the Force to anything. Yeah. And so they show, oh, there's a girl and all this, and okay. They did get to indoctrinate the bad May, the bad sister. I should say this, I should preface it with, they were doing the ceremony. Now listen to this. They're doing the ceremony first, before the Jedi show up. Well, the Jedi are there, but before they actually show up into this ceremony, they're trying to do this ceremony to indoctrinate them into being witches, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So May, the one sister, is first. And this is what they do. And this is what the episode's going to be called, I'll tell you right now. They go, all of a sudden they're doing this rhythmic, they almost look like they're having like some kind of, should I say, some kind of scene that should be only done in maybe adult movies type of thing, right? And they're like, oh, and they're really enjoying all this Force thread stuff, right? And they're actually doing thread motions, like they're sewing stuff in there. What? Yes. Oh, you got to watch episode 3. You're gonna want to watch it after. You're gonna want to hate watch it after this. I'm telling you.
I probably will.
Okay, all so they're doing this thing, and then they go, the power. They keep repeating this stuff. The power of one. The power of two, the power of many. This is what they actually chant. I'm calling it, but this is going to be the episode title. Okay. The power of one, the power of two, the power of Disney. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay. Anyway, I had to put that joke in there. Okay, yeah, let's get it.
There you go. Hey, there it is. All right.
Okay, so I had to. Anyway, so. They get the one done, and then they like give her. They're putting some kind of Force thread on her ball thing, and then she gets a little stamp on her forehead, right? Yeah. Okay. The other one though, right before they get to the Osha, the good sister, she's the one that didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, here come the Jedi, and to break up their little party.
Yeah.
And that's when they're like, hey, do you have kids here? No, we don't. Oh, yeah, well, here's a kid. She comes popping out. And this girl, because this girl wants, all of a sudden, she knows what the Jedi are. I don't know how. They don't explain it, but she wants to be a Jedi, right?
Yeah.
So it's the craziest thing. So Saul, the guy who's supposed to be teaching her, it's kind of weird stuff going on here. Saul comes over to her and says, do you want to be? And he hands her, his lightsaber. I'm like, what the frick? I even kind of freaked out. I'm like, dude, you're a Jedi. What are you handing her a lightsaber? She could actually hit the button and be slicing people left and right. She could hurt herself with this thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not the wielder. It's not the actual person that built it, right? There's no lore. Anybody can light that lightsaber, right?
Well, in Star Wars lore, the lightsaber is such a powerful weapon from just an overall energy standpoint that it takes extreme amount of Jedi skills to build your own lightsaber and then subsequently wield it.
But to light the thing, to light it, like in other words, if you powered that thing on, can anybody pick it up and power it on? Even by accident?
Even by accident? Theoretically, yes.
Okay.
But you would have to be very, very strong to wield it because, again, there's so much energy flowing through that weapon.
Well, sure. But let's just say that Master Jedi stand there and she goes, and just goes right through his head. He's done.
Very well could.
Right?
Yes.
It's over. Or goes through, could take anybody out? Just in a second. Not that she's going to pick it up and start using it, but just, it's like a gun, having a gun and it go off. If you had a blaster and somebody shot the blaster, somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay. Anyway, so he's handing his lightsaber, like total, I don't know. To me, it was way out of character of the Jedi. I handed it to her, to show her that, okay.
Yeah.
So he says, okay, listen, he's there with Carrie-Ann Moss. Now, you got to understand, it's already setting it up. Master Torben is there as a young Jedi. Here's the other thing, too.
Yeah, what's that?
So these are supposed to be people that are peace-loving witches, right?
Yeah.
When the Jedi show up and they start talking to him, and the mother witch is like, sees that it's not going her way, she literally takes over the mind of Torben, and his eyes turn black, and she says, you guys need to leave if you want him to live. So in my opinion, she's being the aggressor.
Okay.
So she's starting to be the aggressor on these Jedi, right? And Jedi are just like, hey, we didn't think anybody lived here. Whether they really believe that or not, I don't know.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here we go. He says, listen, I'm going to test the girls, okay? They said, okay, that's fine. You can test the girls. Well, the girls get together, and they're like, well, May, the bad one, saying, well, we have to stay here. And she's like, no, I wanted the other one. Osha's like, no, I want to go explore the galaxy. No, you have to be here, and we're going to fail the test.
Yeah.
They go in to do the test. Oh, and you should see the Wookiee, too, this Wookiee they have. It's the funniest thing. He's got, it's like a dude, just a tall dude, no hair, with a Wookiee mask on. It's pretty funny. But anyway, it's funny. He's got a little bun up here, like
so
a
it's
samurai
just
bun.
So not the full Wookiee regalia, just the.
It almost looks like he just has a head. He does have a little bit of hair, but he's not. I don't know. It's just weird. Anyway, okay. So there's a Wookiee Jedi. It's kind of funny. Okay, here's the deal. I'm sorry, folks. I'm going to get to the end of this. It's a little bit long episode. We're going to wrap it up real quick. So they go in there. May, the bad one, purposely fails the test. Osha goes in there. They do the whole Venkman test. Literally, it's the Venkman test. He's like holding up a screen, and he goes, what do you see? And then she's like, I see. And then the girl says she sees something else. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, right, but it's not what it is, right? If it was a spaceship, and she says, I see an asteroid, and he's like, right, and she's like, huh? And then he says it again, and then of course she goes, oh no, and he's gave it up that she's pulling a fast one on him, right? Because she's like, how can I? Because he's saying right to this, but she knows that he's wrong, and he knows that she.
Yeah.
So then he says, listen, just tell me the truth. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? And it was kind of a nice moment. Okay, she goes, I really want to be a Jedi. And she goes, well, you got to stand up to your mom. You got to tell them. You got to stand up. You can come with us, and we can train you.
Yeah.
So essentially, she does that. She's going to leave. She's going to be the one to leave. Mm-hmm. This is where it gets off the rails. So they're in this stone fortress, right?
Okay.
May, the bad sister, says, you can't leave. And she goes, no, I want to leave. And she goes, no, if you leave, she goes, you can't, you're not going to leave. And she goes, oh yeah, what are you going to do? I'm going to kill you. Literally, she says, I'm going to kill you. Those are the words she used. What? I'm like, wait, what? These are little girls. Then all of a sudden, she locks her in the room. She takes this lamp, and she lights the door on fire with this lamp, right? This thing has electricity. This fortress has electricity, but they have lamps in here for some reason. So she lights this thing on fire, lights her room on fire. All of a sudden, this stone fortress goes up in flames. I mean, whoosh! It's like all of a sudden there's flames all over the place. They don't show you exactly what happened, and I have a feeling the Jedi are going to be somewhat involved in this, that it wasn't all this girl that did it.
Okay.
But basically, this whole place, they have like some reactor, right? All of a sudden, the fires come in, and you know, May and Osha, and they're trying to find and run around, and you know all this.
Yeah.
And so they're setting up like the girl set the fire, but then they have some kind of reactor. This reactor just blows. The fire's not even there. This thing just blows up, and of course, May's on one side of a bridge, and Osha's on the other side of the bridge, right?
Yeah.
And then of course, Saul, Squid Game Jedi, comes in. He runs in. I have no idea. They were like way off. Supposedly, they were way off out on their spaceship. All this, you know, on the planet somewhere else.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, you know, oh, I saw a fire, and I had to show up in 5 minutes when this thing goes up in flames.
Yeah.
He's there all of a sudden. That's why I think somehow the Jedi are involved. Anyway, he's there, and this is the crazy thing. They're on a bridge that's separated by a big gap. It has a big hole blown in it, right? So one sister's on one side, all of a sudden the bridge collapses, both of them, right? And they're screaming, ah, you know. Saul cannot use his force to save the girls, which he did in episode 1. He used the force to save Osha, to drag her back from the ledge.
Sure. Okay.
He doesn't use the force. He runs over and he grabs Osha, like he's closest to her. So
Okay.
he runs over and he literally grabs her from falling from the cliff.
Okay.
And the other sister, falls down.
Really?
Do they not know how to write on this show? Do they not understand that they just used the force 5 minutes earlier in another episode when the person was falling off a cliff?
Circle of life. It's
So in the and then they run out of the fortress, and then of course they see all the witches are dead. They're just laying on the ground dead. We have no idea why. They're not no fire, nothing's collapsed on them. They're just laying down.
Okay.
And there's the mother witch, and she's right there. And then Saul's like, they don't even go over and see and check or anything. Saul's just like, oh, she's dead. Let's go. And he takes her and runs off with her. Right. Okay. So end of the episode. Osha, the good sister, wakes up. She's in the she's got like the breathing mask on. She's in the spaceship.
Yeah.
She wakes up. She's like, oh, what happened? What happened? Well, obviously she knows what happened. I mean, she was there. But you know, Saul says, oh, everyone's dead. You know, and even May. And of course, at the end of the episode, we see that May is not dead. Right? She's out roaming the planet now, and she's alive. This is the kind of writing, I'm telling you, man. This does not make any sense. This thing is going down. This is a great. For me right now, it's a great hate watch. And I hate to give Disney the view, but it's almost like it's a train wreck I can't keep my eyes away from right now because it's so terrible. What do you think about episode 3? I know it's kind of tough. I was explaining a lot there.
Yeah.
What do you think about some of the high points of episode 3? Are you going to watch it?
I'm going to watch it anyway, just because even though you described it to me and I was hearing everything that you were describing, I still need to experience it for myself.
Gotcha, yeah.
To determine visually what it's like from a conceptual standpoint, although be it sounds like it's not much of one, to find out what it's like. You know, what it's, again, going back to what we just said, it sounds to me like it's just... God, what's the best way to describe this? It's a train wreck looking for a place to happen, what it is what this series boils down to. And it sounds to me like, based on what you were telling me with all the episode 3 stuff, that they're just making it up as they go along.
Well, and not only that, it sounds like they're trying to fit. Here's like I went back to this. The creatives are gone, and now they're just trying to fit political narratives in here. You know, I remember back when you would watch movies, there could be subtle narratives in there, you know, about things, but people were really crafty, and it was an art to be able to put it in there where you're watching something you don't even realize.
Yeah, exactly.
But now they're trying to just flat out put narratives. I mean, it's almost like the narrative of that, you know, first off, we're in a planet of just women. It's like nobody liked us. Okay, so I guess men in general just don't like them. And I guess other women don't like them either. So they're just out there by themselves, right? So everybody's against them. Yeah. Yet they were the aggressors when somebody showed up. Okay, maybe they were mad. Maybe people were but they don't tell us any of this stuff. They're just, we have to go off of what they're showing us, right? And the Jedi at this point still seem like they're pretty decent in the sense of what they're trying to do. It is kind of weird that they're going to come and just steal children. And the kind of I don't know, it's kind of weird, this relationship between Squid Game guy and his Padawan, which was Osha, is a little I don't know there. It's kind of interesting. The one thing I will say about the actor, I call him Squid Game guy, but the actor that played Saul
Jung
is
Ho
that
or something like that,
he
right?
literally, I will say this, he did not know English. He learned English for the show.
Really?
So I can understand him. He's probably the best actor on this series, I would say. But even that's not great, because you could tell he does have a little bit of a hard time at times. But the acting is atrocious. The way they're describing things is terrible.
Yeah.
I think. Here's the deal: when you watch the original series, go back to A New Hope, the original Star Wars. This goes back to what I'm talking about as far as creatives and as far as writing, as far as putting messages in there. You had the dark side and you had the light side. That was the other thing. This is the funny thing about it. I didn't mention this before, but the Mother Witch also mentioned that, which you have to go off of what she says. She says that the Force is not light or dark. I mean, people just want to use it for its power. So it's all about power. It's not about using the Force for one thing or the other. It's just about power. So she's kind of tipping her hand here. She's trying to make herself seem like she's this kind of, I don't know, would you say this kind of genteel character, that's all loving and all this. But yet at the same time, she's forcing her kid to become a witch.
Yeah.
She's telling them, you can't use the Force as a weapon, but she's using it. She's showing them that you can use the Force as a weapon. I mean, so it's all these contradictions. Getting back to what I was saying with creatives and writing. Okay, here's the deal. Star Wars, you had a dark side, you had a light side. They never explained who people were. They didn't say people were specifically this.
Right.
There's a good side and a bad side. There's an empire. There's a rebellion. And as a kid watching that, I could kind of form my own narration as to what I thought they meant. The Force. It was the Force. It was very magical, very mysterious. George Lucas, I have to blame him for the midichlorian thing. But
Right.
But anyway, it was where we could kind of fill in the gaps ourselves, and it could mold itself to be anything to us as individuals, as different people, as we needed or wanted. You know what I mean? It could be okay. Now Star Wars is all about just selling narratives, and they're going to tell you what's good and tell you what's bad, and you have to buy into that narrative. That was my point.
Yeah.
The creative process is gone, and it's just, this is what it is. You can't make up your own decisions, and you can't have just a good story, and kind of ponder on that. They're just telling you, this is bad, this is good. You accept this, or that. So that's where I think we're at right now with Star Wars, unfortunately. It's the more and more I think about it, in all honesty, I would say for me, in all honesty, the first 3 episodes, not episode 1, 2, and 3, but 4, 5, and 6, that's Star Wars. I'm not a big fan of the episode 1, 2, and 3. I'm not a big fan of them, and everything after that, I think, is just garbage. And I'll say Rogue One was good.
Rogue One is a quality film.
Rogue One is good.
Yes.
And Andor is good, but you see, those are kind of different type of stories, and those had good story elements. This kind of stuff that they're trying to push, and the people that they're letting control these projects from the top, Kathleen Kennedy and letting all these people control them. I mean, we see, though, where the majority of it is going. Mandalorian's crap now. Boba Fett, they screwed that up royally.
And who knows if that's coming back.
Yeah.
Probably.
And I think, Dave Filoni is the head of this thing, and it comes to him, comes to Kathleen Kennedy, and it comes to the people. And I think we know, where it's at. And I've heard people say the Force is now female, which is what they're showing us, and accept it or not. And I don't. Those first 3 for me, 4, 5, and 6, are probably going to be my wheelhouse. I'll still watch this other stuff so we can report on it. But I mean, I think that's the conclusion I've come to, because one more thing, I'm sorry, and I'll let you go into it. One more thing is that, I keep hoping that they're gonna get it back. They're gonna get it back. And Mandalorian, man, they pulled me in. I was like, come on, these guys.
That
There
first
they
season,
go.
that first season.
Oh, they're on the train is back on the track, man. Here we
Right,
go.
right.
And then what does it do? Just right off the cliff again.
It does.
So I don't think I'm gonna get my hopes up anymore and let them do that to me. But I know what it is now, and Disney Lucasfilms is what it is, and I'll leave it. And I won't be surprised anymore. Go ahead.
What makes the Star Wars universe so unique is one word: connections. The first three films, 4, 5, and 6, George Lucas was able, like you alluded to, was able to establish connections with characters, with storyline, with plot, with themes, with elements, so on and so forth. And even as flawed as they are, the first three films had those connections as well, just on a different level. You had connections with Anakin and the characters in his life in the first three films, whereas in 4, 5, and 6, the connections were about Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia. So again, take the first three films, 1, 2, and 3 for what they are, but at least they still have the connections as well. It feels like here right now, Eric, where I'm going with this is that there are no more connections to be made. There are no more connections to be made in this universe because they have already been made. And so now everyone is trying to branch off of these connections and create different elements based on different timelines in the canon. And this is where I kind of appreciate a lot of the novels and the graphic novels that have been written and printed and released over the last 20 or 30 years. Because if you want to appreciate Star Wars canon, folks, for what it is, don't watch all of this garbage that's being released on Disney Plus here over the last 5 or 6 years. Read some of the novels and some of the graphic novels that have come out since the first three films and since episodes 1, 2, and 3. Some great Star Wars novels that feature some different characters that still have connections to the original Star Wars universe that make the storylines compelling. Say what you will about episodes 7, 8, and 9. They're all garbage, okay? The three films, they are garbage. Last Jedi, a little bit more tolerable. Rise of Skywalker, don't even get me started. In my estimation still, the proper sequels are the three books that were written by Timothy Zahn called the Thrawn Trilogy. You have Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and the last, not the Last Jedi, but I forgot I just forgot the title of the third book altogether. I'm sorry. Point I'm making is that the three books written by Timothy Zahn that take place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, those are the proper sequels to 4, 5, and 6. All of the novels, graphic novels, still have connections everywhere. The stuff that they have now don't have connections, Eric, and that's the one binding word that connects Star Wars with everything is connections. And when you don't have that, and when you're trying to create stories just for the sake of either A, satisfying the fan base, or B, making money on a franchise that's already made money hand over fist over the last 40, 50 years, now you see what we've come into here. A watered down product that it's losing its interest, and even the diehard loyals now are speaking up about it. And they're saying, what is this? This is something that's not going to be talked about at conventions, at least not on a positive note. And so as a result of that, the creators of Star Wars are desperately trying to keep a franchise afloat and keep it relevant, when honestly, Eric, I think what they need to do is leave it alone. I think we need to leave it alone, at least for 10 years. So here, and I'm going to equate it to Star Trek a little bit, okay? There was a period in time here where Star Trek was on a little bit of a lull, where it lost interest. And this was around the time when the Next Generation films had started to come out. Aside from Star Trek First Contact, the other three generation or TNG films, Generations, Insurrection, and Nemesis, a couple of them did fairly well at the box office, but they weren't critically received. And then in the subsequent series that came out with Star Trek Enterprise, Star Trek Voyager, and then it just seemed like at that point, Star Trek had just kind of hit a brick wall. Everyone lost interest in it. The writing was starting to become a little bit irrelevant, especially on Enterprise. And so the series creators, they took a hiatus. They went back to the drawing board and they said, okay, let's figure out the elements that made Star Trek so great and so unique and see if we can resuscitate them, but on a different level. And they did that. They did that with Strange New Worlds. They did that with Picard. They did that with Discovery, even though I don't like Discovery. And then when J.J. Abrams came along and created his 3 Kelvin timeline films, that brought more younger audiences attracted to the Star Trek franchise there. And I think what Star Wars people need to do is the same thing that Star Trek's creators did with their product. They need to leave it alone, let it die out for a few years. Let the fans try to forget about all of this calamity that has come out and take that time to go back to the drawing board. Take that time to figure out the one word that binds Star Wars together, just like the Force, connections between characters, story, plot, elements. Those are the 4 things that made George Lucas's original film stand mighty and tall still to this day. Leave it alone. From a fellow Star Wars fan, leave it alone for a while. I'm willing to let Star Wars die out for a little bit because we have plenty of content to keep us preoccupied.
Yeah.
Okay, we can go back and watch the original films till our heart's content. We can go back and stream all of the series that have come out since then to our heart's content, regardless of how much we like them or not. But as far as continuing to just pump out show month after month after month after month, and then not seeing any gradual improvement in the creativity or the writing or the development of anything, it's just making the franchise look a lot worse. And it's making people like George Lucas look a lot smarter about what they're saying in regards to how you develop story and how you keep a franchise alive. So yeah, Eric, I'm at a loss. I'm like you are. I'm deflated as a Star Wars fan. And it hurts me to say that because I love this series. I love this franchise. It's meant the world to me. It's been a big part of my life, been a big part of me as a dreamer, just dreaming about things. And whenever I have a bad time, I can pump in The Empire Strikes Back and I can go to a different galaxy far, far away and get away from the rigors of everyday life here on Earth. But now with all of this, I think we need to slow down, slam the brakes a little bit, and let's just take it back a notch here. And then let the fans, after a few years hiatus, crave for more, just like the Star Trek fans did. And it's benefited the Star Trek franchise because the Star Trek franchise, after taking a few years off, they got it right. They hit the reset button, and they're now coming out with quality content where the writing and the creativity are quality and relevant once again.
Well,
do the same thing, Star Wars.
I'll say this, though. The bad thing that the Star Wars franchise did, or Star Trek's franchise did, is get rid of Terry Matalas, let him go.
But they brought it back, though.
Huh?
They brought him back, though.
Oh, they did bring him back? I didn't hear this.
Yeah. You mean the Star Trek?
Star Trek, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he headed Picard.
No, but they've already got him for Marvel.
Yeah, they got him from Marvel.
They picked him up. What I said is they let him go, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, I'm talking about Star Trek. Yeah, the one thing that Star Trek is they let him go. They should have brought him in for Star Wars.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But they let him. Yeah, they let him go. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Picard season 3 was that was the best season there. I mean, that was kind of
penultimate right there.
That was and that was because of him. But that's what it is, creatives. And going back to what you're saying about George Lucas, he had with him and he had his wife, which did all the editing. For Star, she made her and the editing team. I can't remember the 2 other editors. I apologize what their names are, but
Paul Hirsch and Richard Chu.
And what is her name? I can't remember.
Marsha Lucas.
Marsha Lucas. Yeah, Marsha. She. I mean, he had around him a team of creatives and a team of talented actors and a team of talented props and special effects guys. Yeah. That at the time that were able to create something. Also, that's the other thing too. Create something. Whereas now, everything is so suffocated by the corporate system. Yeah. And at the same time, just what you're talking about with Disney, they have a huge problem because they have a streaming service now, which they're almost forced to put out new content, because otherwise you don't get streamers, right? Right. So they're kind of in a huge bind. But unfortunately, filling those gaps, they're destroying franchises. And, the thing is that, ultimately it's a movie, it's a story. What's the big deal? People say, well, just like you said earlier too, is that, these are a big part of people's lives. These are mythologies that we grew up on. And I can still remember seeing Star Wars for the first time in the theater. I mean, these are things that have left an impression. And these are things that we want to share with our family, with our kids, and someday with our grandkids.
It's a generational thing.
It's a generational thing.
Yes.
And just like how Disney and the parks are, it's a generational thing. But it just seems like all the way through, the parks, the TV, the show entertainment, they are destroying it, and they're pulling it down. Will they ever be able to get it back? I don't know. But you're right. You're completely right. They need to shelve things and just let it go. They probably can't because of the streaming service, but they need to shelve it and let it go.
Right, exactly.
Before they destroy things any further. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. So I think we...
So are you going to watch... Let me ask you this. Are you going to watch episode 2 and 3 now?
I am going to watch episode 2 and 3.
Are you kind of curious about it now? You got to be really curious. We didn't really go over episode 2. It really doesn't matter. Skip it. Who cares? But episode 3, I think I threw and got a little confused. I might have thrown some of episode 2 in there when I was talking about episode 1. Right. But anyway, episode 2 and 3. Yeah, you've got to watch, man.
I will watch them because now that you've talked about them, I'm curious to see what they look like from my vantage point. But yeah, I'll end up watching them. They're not on my priority list, I'll let you know that. But I'll get around to watching them.
It's just funny. I didn't think, I didn't care that much for Ahsoka, but for me, I didn't think it could get worse than Ahsoka. And right now, Ahsoka is looking like a pretty dang good show compared to this one.
Right now, Ahsoka is looking like season 5 of MASH compared to the Acolyte. I mean, that's how good it is.
It's an Emmy-winning.
It's an Emmy-winning series right now compared to what Acolyte is.
Yeah. All right, folks. Hey, that's it. We're going to leave you with that. It was a really long episode.
It was. The Force is stronger with us than it is with the Acolyte.
Remember, the power of 1, the power of 2, the power of Disney. Don't let it get you.
That's right.
But please check out our social medias. We are on X at PTI_podcast.
And on Facebook at Pardon the Intermission.
And on Rumble and YouTube at Pardon the Intermission. We hope you guys have a good one out there. We will see you on the next one.
Peace out. God bless, and may the Force be with you.
Always.
Always.